Hi, welcome back everyone. Today's guest took one of the most calculated paths I ever had. Studied at MIT and spent 4 years in a corporate job on purpose. And he saved up and then he launched a construction company. And the thing is that brand is now one of the most leading firms in its space. And now welcome this guy, Mr. Dan Reeves. Welcome to the.
Thanks, Arjun. And yeah, calculate is the right word. It didn't always feel smooth living through it, but every step was intentional.
Yeah, let's start at the beginning. MIT is not somewhere people just walk into. What was your background?
My dad was a small scale contractor, and growing up, I used to visit his construction sites. And in these holidays, it was very dusty, loud, and chaotic. But I was always asking why. Why is this beam here? Why is this foundation shaped this way? And I had like a big curiosity. And that curiosity never left me. My dad always said, if you want to do this seriously, learn the science behind it. So because of that, worked so hard. I studied so hard, got into MIT for civil and structural engineering. And that's where my thinking really sharpened.
What was the biggest thing that MIT taught you? Yeah, technically or otherwise. What was the thing that you get from MIT?
Let me start with my professor.
Yeah.
One professor said something I never forget. Like, I don't care what answer you get. I care about the path you took to get there. And in construction, the building is the answer, but the planning is the decision, the risk management. And that's where real money is made or lost. So anyway, MIT taught me to obsess over the path.
So you graduated at MIT, right?
Yes.
Instead of you just jumping straight into starting something, you take a corporate job.
Yes.
Most people would say, why you have the degree? You just have to go for it. What was that?
Yeah, it was true actually. And it is because I was honest with myself. Like I had the technical knowledge, but what I didn't have was the capital and also the industry connections or operational experience. And in construction, if you are missing those three things, you will fail. No matter how good you are in engineering. So I joined in a large infrastructural firm, and I think so I went in as a junior structural engineer, and I treated every single day as a research.
Research, what exactly that means?
Like I watched everything. How the project bidding work, how do you handle a supplier, or how do you handle a supplier who's 3 weeks late, how do you manage a client who changes the design in the mid construction. These are things no university teach you. And I think so by year 3 I was in a client facing roles, proposal meeting, site reviews. That's when I spotted the gap. Most firms were either too large and slow or too small and unreliable. Nobody was doing a mid-scale commercial projects with quality standards and a tech-forward approach. And I think that was my opening.
And by year 4, you had enough savings to make the move?
Enough for a runway. Like, not massive, but enough to register the company, hire 2 people, and go after the first contract. Like, which was the first, I think so, which was a commercial warehouse project. And I had slightly underbid to win, but then that time the steel price went up in the mid project.
Uh-huh. Was that your first project nightmare?
I think so, exactly. But I like instead of hiding, I went to the client directly, showed them market data, and asked for a partial price adjustment. Completely transparent. They respected it, gave me partial increase, and I absorbed the rest. That same client gave me 3 more projects in the next 2 years, and that taught me that transparency build longer relationship than a perfect margin ever will. This is like to all businessmen.
Yeah, that's real. And let's get into some listeners' question. First one is, did your MIT degree actually help in running business, or was it just lower credibility? Credibility.
Honestly, both. The technical knowledge saved me real money. Catching design errors before they became the construction errors, reading drawings fast, and understanding structural loads. But the name opened the doors too. I won't pretend otherwise. The trick is making sure what you say after like walking through the door justifies the attention.
So, how do you handle employees depending on, like after being used, only being responsible for yourself?
Actually, that weight is real. When it's just you, a bad week is a bad week. And when people are on payroll, a bad month means someone might not pay their rent. That's responsibility made me more disciplined, more communicative, and honestly, a better leader than any management course could have.
And is it possible to start a construction company without a lot of capital?
Yeah, yes, but be smart. Like, rent equipment, but don't buy it easily, okay? And keep your office small, and but never cut corners on your first hires and pay them well because they carry your reputation on every side. Win one project, do it exceptionally, and let referrals build your pipeline. And capital follows credibility, not the other way around.
And what was the biggest mistake? Nowadays, the young engineers make many mistakes. What was the young engineers make when starting construction businesses?
I think so. The main mistake is skipping the experience phase. And I see often great degree, startup energy, and they think that's enough. Like the great degree and startup energy is just enough for to start a construction company. But in construction company is a relationship business. If suppliers, subcontractors, and clients don't know you, you won't get projects. And if you get projects without knowing operations, you will lose money on them. Working for someone else for a few years is not a failure, it's a preparation.
I have a last question for you. And do you ever regret not going to like the Silicon Valley route after MIT? Daniel?
Many people ask me that question, but that's a good question. Actually, the answer is never. I can write to a site and point at a building and say, I built that. There is something deeply satisfying about creating something physical, something people live and work inside. Tech build things you experience on screens. I build things you walk into, and both matters. But for me, there was never a question.
Could you give me a quick roadmap for young generation of engineering students, those who are listening to our podcast right now?
Get your technical fundamentals rock solid. Then go work for a firm doing the exact type of work you eventually want to do. Don't just chase the highest salary. Chase the best learning. Save aggressively during those study years. Keep a journal of every process, bidding, like project management, client handling. That journal should become your company's operating man later. Then start a small, like do one project better than anyone else should, and grow from there.
And I was asking like, what are the mistakes to avoid during this period of time?
I think so. I can say three mistakes. Underpricing to win the business. It destroys margins and train clients to expect low rates. Doing everything yourself. Delegate easily. Hire like people better than you at specific things, and ignoring legal and financial basics. Contracts, insurance, tax, structure. Boring, yes, but they will save your company when something goes wrong. And something always goes wrong. That's it.
Let's enter the rapid round.
What is rapid round?
It's a quick questioning.
Okay,
Okay?
Alexander.
And what MIT or real world experience? If you could only keep one, which one do you choose?
Real world experience, because MIT gave me the foundation, but the world gave me the building.
Could you suggest any one book that every young entrepreneur should read in this new generation?
Um, there are many, but let me suggest that The Hard Thing About Hard Things. It was written by Ben Horowitz. Nobody talks about the painful side of building something the way he does.
If not construction, what industry do you choose instead of that?
Maybe aerospace, because same physics, less dust.
So now you became success.
Yes.
And like, how do you feel that?
I don't know whether I'm successful or not, but a company that runs well without needing me in every decision, and one project that genuinely changes how a community lives, that means more to me than any revenue number.
That's real. I have a final thought. One thing you want every listener to you walk away with today.
Patience is not the same as waiting. Those 4 corporate years, I wasn't waiting, I was building knowledge, savings, relationships, clarity. Every day was intentional. So, whatever your goal is, don't just wait for the right moment. Use your moment before it to be completely ready when it arrives.
That's very perfect ending. And then arrives the MIT engineer, strategic founder, and proof that best plans are the ones most people don't understand until they are already working. Thank you for being here in my podcast.
Thanks, Sajin. Really enjoyed this podcast.
And to everyone listening, if this gave you even one idea worth acting on, share it with someone who needs to hear it. See you in next one. So the final gives you the career guidance, that is you can see how you would be when you became that you in your dream. Thank you.